Actually, our communication team through several channels, because we had the chance to have connection with Gran Turismo for the last 10 years, ever since we started having a connection through AMG with the game. So it was a great opportunity for us to do a car, especially for this game. So we were approached with a task to do a car, to design a car especially for the game. So not a street car, not a street race car at the first glance, but the actual task was to do a digital GT racer. So that was the task that we were given. And what normally happens if we get such a cool project is that we have a competition within Mercedes, because we have several advanced design teams around the world. So we have a team in Japan, we have a team in China, and we have a team in California, and one in Germany. So we had a competition. We all did some sketches for it. I can show you a couple of sketches actually, so that you get an idea of how something like that looks like. This is basically the final car that you know. It's the rear view of the car. We introduced the Panamericana grille from the 50s that did a reinterpretation of that. You can see that in 3/4, and you can actually have a display, because they're all, this is a digital display, so we were actually able to lighten up some of those little elements, so you could actually project several patterns into that. You could create the wing, digitally create the wing, or put crosses inside or whatever. It's another rear view of the car. We've got the final sketches. This is how the final sketches look like. Basically, they're done on paper with a polychromos pen. So it's actually not very digital at the beginning. It starts off with some pencil sketches, some ideas, but these were already the final sketches. Here was some experimental renderings from some of the designers. So we all had a final presentation where we showed, this is from Sylvain, one of our designers, this was from me, this is from an intern actually. This was from the designer that actually then did the car. But as you can see, several ideas were taken from all of the designers. So for example, the rear was taken from here. This bubble form wheels were taken from here. Some of the detail elements were taken from here. So what we did is we took the best ideas and put them all into one car. Because normally the press always asks, who's the designer? And then you mention one name, but that's actually most of the time is the guy who actually then I said, okay, Bastian, you're going to do it. So he had to take basically all the coolest elements and then put them into one car, and that was then this. And then the chief designer came and said, listen, he saw this and he said, okay, I like it, but I want to have 8 exhausts. So you start drawing 8 exhausts. It looks a bit strange. And then you're like, okay, how are we going to stack them together? And so we actually placed the exhaust, above and underneath this long light strip to make it a little bit more dynamic. So you basically have an exhaust and the rear light as one design element. And
what's the part below there?
That's an additional brake light. And the idea was to actually have the brake light as a GT logo. We actually had the GT logo as an LED light, so you could always see the GT logo when it was braking, which was really cool. But for some reason it got kicked out after a while. We really loved it. We really liked the small details and the gadgets. But as you can see, the guys were sketching like crazy, and there are so many really cool ideas. You could actually make easily 20 or 30 cars from all the ideas that we have here. But we had the difficult task was to filter out, some of the stuff, and then try to actually condense the whole thing down to, you know, what we thought were the best ideas. So that's what makes that job a little bit difficult. Not to come up with creative ideas, but then to throw out 99.5% of the ideas and then make one car out of it only. So that's why I talked to Mr. Yamauchi that we could easily make a car every year, just from the ideas that we have this time. Yeah. But unfortunately, a project like this doesn't come to us very often. But we would love to do it again. Here you can see some of the sketches. Actually, all of these sketches are also in the game. There's a link in the game somewhere where you can see also the kind of a making of. So we have sent all the sketches to Polyphony, so that the viewers can also have a glance at, you know, what happened behind the scenes for this edition, which is, I think, really, really cool.
How far along in the design process did you realise that your car was going to be the first one to be appearing in the Vision Gran Turismo concept?
Well, the thing is that we started working for the project without really caring about what the other, you mean the other competitors, other brands?
Well, yeah, it's more about just you being the first one to reveal their car within
I think we knew it maybe in the middle of the process. We heard from other brands that they're not ready yet, you know, because of course we know people at BMW. We've all been through the same schools, pretty much, because there are not so many schools. So people know each other in the industry. So we heard, you know, from BMW or from, you know, from Nissan or that they were, you know, handing in their data a little bit later. But we never hurried up, you know, to be the first. We just had a timetable that we stick to, because we had to send the data to Polyphony in at a certain time. So we just, you know, followed that schedule, and we happened to be first.
How long did it take you to start to finish to build the car?
Well, from the first brief to, you know, the final data was only a little bit more than 2 months, so very, very short time frame.
Wow.
So we really had to hurry. We had to basically build a small task force to do it, because of course we also have to work on other things. We have to earn some money, as you can imagine. So yeah, it was a very short time frame, but that made it also a bit simpler for us, because we had to make decisions. We were forced to make decisions really, really quick.
Do you traditionally do this kind of projects internally to be creative and to inspire the people that works, the designers? You do concept cars that we don't see, or is this a one-off for you?
What do you mean? What do you mean exactly?
Do you do this kind of real small concept, crazy concept internally, and otherwise as well?
Well, normally we do concept cars for you know.
Today concept cars are really close to the finished products, and this is way off.
Yes. Well, normally, also, you know, some of the concept cars that you can see on the, you know, on the big fairs today, always start off as really advanced projects, and then some of the details get kicked out, and they start getting, you know, more and more normal. But when you have a brief and you say, guys, please go wild, you can actually go really crazy, especially with an advanced team. And the guys normally also offer you something at the beginning. They offer you something that's really very creative. And the problem is that, you know, further on in the process, you get, you know, regulations, and you get, you know, some of the restrictions that actually make the car a bit more normal. But you know, for a game like this, we actually have the chance to go much more extreme with the proportions, much more extremes with surfacing, because we didn't have to take care where the hinges are, you know. So you can really go, you can really, yeah, exactly, you can really go crazy. Pedestrian protection, of course, on the racetrack, and even also not in the game. So there are many things that actually made this project much more fun than a normal project.
Can we expect elements of this in Mercedes road cars, albeit small ones, big ones?
Some of the elements, for sure. I can't tell you which ones, of course. But generally, what we also said was that, you know, this form language of, we call it sensual purity, will be seen in the future cars. What I mean with that is that we play more with the volumes, with the proportions, with the surfaces, and we don't have so many lines on the car anymore. So what you see when you see this car from the side, there are actually not so many feature lines there anymore. Yeah? You have a rocker that's really, really softly blended into the body. You have really, really soft blended wheel arches, but you don't see so many lines anymore. So what we try to do in the future is work more with volumes and proportions.
How soon can we expect to see a car that might be influenced by this?
Well, in the coming 3 or 4 years, yes. What I'm talking about now is the form language, the design, the proportions. That's something else. That's that's the architecture of the car. But the skin, the form language of the skin, can also be on a let's say more normal car. Yeah. We always have to distribute these kind of things because people always mix it up and they think that's one thing. But the proportions is very, very extreme. That's very unlikely to be a street car because you have to, of course, raise the roof a little bit and do some of the things to make it more suitable for people to sit in and to actually use it. But the form language itself, the vocabulary that we're using here, and some of the gestures in the graphics will definitely be seen in future cars.
I had a chance to drive the car in the game yesterday, and it sounds really good. It sounds much better than any other car in Gran Turismo. Were you involved in producing that sound, or the drivetrain and the engine that's used in the game?
No, the sound design was done by the AMG guys, the really experienced AMG guys, and we basically, told them just do whatever you can to make it sound really great, and that's what they came up with.
It does.
Yeah, no, it was entirely AMG steered, let's say. Yeah.
Is there mechanical noise? Is it actually based on anything real, or is it all done digitally?
I think it's you'll have to ask the AMG guys to get a really precise answer to that question. But I think what we also try to do is get some electrical, a little bit of an electrical twist to it as well. So I think it's been altered to also sound a bit electrical. This is also what we try to reflect in the design. On the one hand, you want a real race car. On the other hand, you want to have a car that also has the potential to reflect something really futuristic. That's why we have in one version also these really light strips, and then make it a little bit more look like it's really charged with electric power as well.
Okay, sorry, we have to go.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.